Skills and knowledge from a corporate job and start your own business sounds easy at first. But there are different types of challenges as that you get as an entrepreneur than you had as an employee. Now you're the boss. You have to make all the decisions. When a problem arises, you have to take care of it. There's no go-to person. You have to develop a marketing plan so that your business stays open. Oh, and you make a profit. On this episode of Make It Click, I have with me small business strategist, coach, and author, Lorette Pruden. Lorette wrote the book, Formerly Corporate: Mindset Shifts for Success in Your Own Business. Lorette, welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to start out with the misconception. What's the difference between being self employed versus I'm a business owner? Is there a difference in that?
Actually, there's a huge difference, and most people don't think about it when they start out. That in the case where you're self-employed, you have a job. That's the employment part, and your boss is yourself, which is sort of the worst of many worlds. And and it's a common joke among the formerly corporate who are now in business for themselves that they now have the worst boss that they ever had in their lives. So that is one way to look at self-employment. A CEO is running a business that has a purpose. It has strategies to create. It has tactics to implement. It has probably more than one person in it. Maybe not right at the beginning, but eventually you're going to need to build some sort of a team, whether it's a virtual team or a permanent team. And the CEO runs an enterprise, and they're an executive. They're not an employee. It's very different. The tax structures are different if you're a CEO of a corporation, even an LLC, right? So it's just a different mindset. And the subtitle of the book, Formerly Corporate, is Mindset Shifts for Success in Your Own Business, which addresses a lot of these. Oh, well, I thought it was going to be this way, but it turned out to be that way.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things to be thinking about when you're the business owner versus just being self employed. Um,
Oh, there's tons of things. I mean, I touched a couple of them: the strategy, the where are you going, the vision. The what processes am I going to use to get there? What does that mean? I'm going to market. Okay, I have to market. How am I going to market? What am I going to pick? Which channels am I going to use? Am I going to do live stream social media, or am I going to do print ads? There's all those strategic questions to answer. And then how am I really going to do it? There's a book called Six Hats that somebody wrote about this issue. And I think there's probably at least 17 hats um, of the roles that the organization, even if you're one person, you have an organization and the roles that that organization needs to make it thrive. So it can be human resources, it's financial management, it's operations, it's business development, it's vision and leadership. Even if you're only, as a friend of mine here in town says, if you only lead yourself first, right? So there's lots of hats to wear.
yeah, yeah. So I know you coined the term formerly corporate outlooks, and these are some of the things that coming from corporate, some people believe things are just going to be fine. Let's just today just take a couple of those myths and how they really don't apply when you're a business owner, a small business owner.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, but I'll just pick a couple, like you said. So one is, especially if you're a small startup business, and let's take the definition from the um, Small Business Association. Somewhere buried in there is the idea that there are micro businesses, and they call that under $250,000 in revenue, which many micro businesses I know would be thrilled to get to. Um, but those micro businesses, they, if they've come from a corporate environment, and by corporate I mean like government or nonprofit or something, some other place where you were not the strategic thinker, you were the doer, right? When you come from that um, environment into trying to do your own business, then it's it's common, it's natural to think, well, I know how to do this over here, so I'll just do it the same way over here, just smaller, right? But there's a difference. It's actually called the quantum effect. I won't go into the physics of it today, but there's a difference between a really small business and working for a major corporation. Certainly, like the one I worked for. I worked for a Fortune 5 corporation, and then I started my own business. So lots of things are different, and you can't just make it smaller and have it work the same way. If we had more time, I'd give you more examples, but um, the other formerly corporate outlook I like to mention to people is that is you don't even know what the game is. You don't know when you get first start. You don't know if you're playing on a field, on a pitch, like for cricket. You don't know if you're playing a board game or a tabletop game, or if you have a paddle or a bat, or you don't know any of that stuff. You think you do. That's the scary part. Sometimes you think you know, you think you're playing the big game before you used to smaller, right? But actually, very often you're playing a completely different game, and you really have to figure that out first. It has different rules. The sizes of the fields are different. It's all different. And that's something that people don't really realize the first right off the bat either. And the third point I'll make really quickly is one of the things that I know that I did, and I see it all the time, and it has a great deal of arrogance to it, and it's offensive. So I'll try to keep anybody from doing this themselves. I have all these skills. I know how to do this, whatever it is, training and development or business coaching or technical marketing assistance or whatever. I know how to do that. And I've been trained. I have big corporate training and experience. And I'm like, as your mother used to say, God's gift to man or woman, depending on your choice. And so I'm God's gift to you, the small business owner, that I want to serve. And plus, I'm going to be cheaper than the big guys. So you should just hire me. Okay, when do we start? And now, having been on the other side of the net, I guess, for 20 years, we can smell that coming a mile away. And no small business owner worth their salt who's operating as a CEO wants to deal with somebody who has that attitude. It's not pleasant to experience, and it's not pleasant to walk in with it either, because you get rejected, and if you don't know why, then you're just going to keep making the same mistake.
Well, as you that last one that you mentioned, it's coming to mind that leaving a corporate job with the skills that you have and thinking, I'm just going to take all of this and start my own business. But what many people don't have are the sales and marketing skills.
Absolutely.
They unless they come from those areas, then they've got that backing. But yeah, taking just what I mean, I'm thinking like an IT person. It's like, I'm going to take my IT skills and just start my own business, everything. How are they going to market? How are they going to make the sales? Like you say, just like making a business smaller and saying, oh, well, I'm cheaper, so come to me. But, well, we know, Lorette, that doesn't work. So that a huge piece missing. when someone thinks they're just going to take their knowledge and start a
Yeah.
business and they open the door. It's like, I'm just going to hang out the shingle and they're just going to come knocking my door down. And yeah,
Yeah,
that
somebody
doesn't
told me, "Oh,
happen.
you're going to be a consultant. That'll be great. You just get a couple of jobs, and then the work will just flow in, and you'll be rolling. It'll be good." Well, that's not true either. That is so
Right.
definitely not true, and not because you don't do a good job on your first couple of assignments or engagements, but because people are too busy to. Maybe they don't need you again, and they don't talk to their peers and say, "Hey, I had this great consultant in here and you should hire them." That hardly ever happens. And sometimes they don't even want anybody to know that they brought in a coach or a consultant. So they don't tie. So anyway, that's a whole other, we'll do another topic on that.
Yeah.
Um, I did want to say though that even if you have some sales and marketing skills, uh, but let's say you don't, one of the traps that people fall into, I see it all the time, is if you, is I don't want to be salesy. Well, what does that mean to you? We have to really get over that. You, one cannot run a business without selling something. You must sell something. How you sell it, that's a skill set. You can learn how to sell, and you can learn how to be a used car salesman, which nobody wants to do except them. I mean, they probably don't even want to do it either. Or a really, smooth consultative salesperson. There's all kinds. You can never, all kinds of training. You can never get enough sales training, I think, or practice. Um, but that internal block that so many people have about, well, I don't want to come across as salesy. I don't want to be pushy. They said maybe. They said call them next week. They said, well, they might be ready at the end of the year. So you put them over on your end of the year list. Well, you should put them on your end of the year list, and you should follow up on them. Be careful what you say to a salesperson. The good one will follow up with you.
Yeah. So hoping is not a strategy then? Is that
Hope, hope is not a good business strategy.
yeah.
Positive thinking is a good business strategy. Uh, Persistence, perseverance are good business qualities to have. I don't know if they're strategies, but they're good qualities to have. Um, I have come to the opinion that I want people to say no to my face if they don't want to work with me. It's fine. I got plenty of other things to do besides follow up with people who think they're not hurting my feelings by saying no.
Mhm.
Listen, all you listeners out there, do the business world a favor. If somebody is offering you their services because they genuinely think that what they have to offer will help you, that's their job. If you don't think it will help you, or you don't have time to do it, or you don't have the money to do it right now, or your spouse will run you out of the house if they find out that you bought another whatever it is, if those are your real reasons, tell them to the salesperson. I can't do it right now, but I'm not just putting you off. I maybe in third quarter, if I put it in my budget, I'll be able to do. That's a perfectly valid, respectful conversation to have.
Mm. Good point. Yes. That's so
The
yeah,
world
so
would
if
be a better place if we all have those conversations.
yeah, yeah, we all have to get over one not being able to just say no at the time, or I'll follow up with you versus you follow. We all have to just be honest. Both sides of the fence. I think just
Right.
be totally honest, and it's okay. Like you say, it's okay. Um, so Lorette, what would you say then, if somebody, is thinking about coming out of corporate and starting a job, or a business? Oh, excuse me, starting a business, or they're already there, but they're struggling. What is a good strategy in order for them to thrive? What do they need to be doing?
Well, at the risk of sounding self serving, everybody should hire a business coach. It doesn't have to be me. There's plenty of us out here, lots of people. Find somebody that you click with, making it click. Talk to different people. Ask people who, if they have a coach, who their coach is. Um, it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. Good coaches are not cheap, but often we have a entry level program or something you could join or so. Look around, poke around, ask for referrals, recommendations. But the thing about trying to figure everything out for yourself is you get trapped, very easy to get trapped in your own pros and cons list, right? Because you only know what you know and you don't know what you don't know, and you're in a totally new field. And so having an outside perspective is a really, it's critical to get your business off to a good start. I actually did not have that when I started, so I know whereof I speak. And once I did begin to seek out mentors and accept some mentorship and begin to pay for some coaching, um, it's a critical part. You're learning a whole new skill set. And that vision and leadership and CEO stuff we started out talking about, that is not, doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. So get some help. It's a lot more fun too.
Yes, no, I totally agree. I'm one of those years ago, I hung out my shingle saying, well, I'll just tell people what I do and they'll come to me. It's like, yeah, that didn't work. So I hired a coach. And ever since then, I've been in various programs and whatnot, but I know I wouldn't be where I'm at without that help. And yeah,
Um, right,
so
and that's a good point that there are different programs for different things you need to learn. And as your business grows and you get skilled at one part, then there's another opportunity for growth shows up, right? And the person you're working with now might not be the right person for the next thing
yeah,
that you need to do. Um, it's a it's a fascinating journey, um,
yes,
and
it is.
the small business world makes the business world go round. It hires the most employees,
Yeah.
just a few at a time. It generates a lot of income. Uh, and everybody wants their local businesses to be available to them when they want them.
Right.
So please shop local in your retail, in your farmer's market, with your local professionals. Look around your neighborhood first, your town, your city, whatever, wherever you draw your boundaries. Work
Mhm.
with people that will really appreciate your business and not think of you as just another cog, customer number 7,332.
Yes, good point. Good point. So, Lorette, is there something that you would like to share with our listeners today?
I would love to. One of the things I'm doing in my continuous quest for the perfect marketing uh, technique, which there is not one, by the way. They change. But the one I'm working with right now, and I'd like to invite you to join us on the first and third Wednesdays of each month at 12:15. I host a business conversation. We call it Let's Talk Common Sense About Business. And it is a conversation. I'm not making a presentation, it's not a webinar. It's really sharing together of the business issues that people um, are facing, and some connections get made, although it's not a networking group, and some problems get solved, although it's not really a problem-solving group. But anytime smart people put their heads together and talk about an issue, usually some good things come out of it, and that's what I hope for this.
And
Um,
how can they register for that?
at team now, Christine's going to put this in the chat, and I'm going to be specific with it because it's not easy. Team Nimbus, like the rain cloud, sorry, nj.com. So teamnimbusnj.com/ Let's Talk Common Sense is the registration link to that conversation. There's one coming up. There is every first and third Wednesdays at 12:15. We go 35, 45 minutes, um, and they've been fascinating. So I invite you to join us and come learn some common sense ideas and lessons about small business.
Alrighty. Well, Lorette, I do have one last question for you, and
Mm-hmm.
I know I didn't bring this up earlier when we chatted, but when you think about you and your business and everything you've done over the years, what has made it click for you in your business? What's the one thing that you realize, oh my goodness, this is going to make a big difference for me? And it could be maybe it was a coaching program you were in, or maybe it's technology. As yeah, I know you love technology, but maybe it's a tool that you discovered. What's something that has made it click for you?
Um, what really made it click for me, I mentioned a little bit earlier, but I'll say it again. And I learned it from Zig Ziglar, who was a famous sales trainer back in his day. He's not with us anymore, but he did a lot of training. And I listened to a lot of tapes and took a lot of courses. So those are good things to do too. And I heard him say that piece about if you have something of value to offer that you believe will help the person that you're offering it to, you have a moral obligation to offer it. They don't have any obligation to buy it. But if you really believe you have something that will help somebody, whether it's a vacuum cleaner, he used to sell door to door vacuum cleaners and encyclopedias back in the 30s, right? Or the latest and greatest social media whiz bang gizmo thing that you've got. If you think it will really help the person that you're talking to, you owe them the respect of telling them about it. And they don't owe you anything.
Great advice. Thank you so much, Lorette, for being my
Thank you,
guest on Make
Christine.
It